Hey everybody, it's Thursday, puck time with the Prez. I'm Lawrence Presman, excited to be hosting this show. As you can see, the legend, Mr. Dave Koken, back on puck time, back to talk hockey. 3 games today, we'll take them all apart. And of course, my good pal, my friend Carmine Bianco, couple of days away from heading to Las Vegas. But first, let's just catch up with Dave. What a night you had last night, brother. Tell us about it.
The last couple of nights have been real good. There's peaks and valleys, and I'm on top of the mountain right now, 3-0 on Tuesday, and then 5-0 yesterday between the hoops and the hockey. So I'm pretty happy, and the attempt to continue this endeavor will be maintained tonight. I've got 4 basketball games, still working on the hockey, but will hopefully point myself in the right direction as we talk about tonight's games right here.
And there's some fun games. Buffalo, Montreal, New Jersey, Nashville, Arizona, LA Kings. I don't care about any of them, but I do care about finding winners amongst the 3. I won my game last night to take my run to 12-2 in the last 14 NHL plays. I had the over in the San Jose-Vancouver game. Carmine Bianco, listen, we got to talk about the good and the bad, bro.
I can see
you're
Dave
about to jump off a cliff.
Now. No. It's it comes with the territory. I can see Dave up on his peak from my valley. Those nights yesterday, OT loss with the Oilers. It happens. It's gonna turn, but I'm a little peeved right now. But my day as a whole yesterday was a disaster after this show, and I know guys like in our comment section want us to get right into the picks, but I've got to tell you guys, and I think Dave will get a kick out of this, about what happened to me yesterday. As you get older, which I'm 51, it's when you see your friends now, it's not at birthday parties.
No.
It's at and stuff. So, no, a friend didn't pass away, but a friend's dad passed away. So, of course, I go to the funeral home for the viewing. I say to the lady, it's an Italian funeral home up in Woodbridge, which Woodbridge is an Italian community north of Toronto. And I walk in and there's the lady in the nice dressed up thing. And I'm like, I'm here for Vincenzo. She's like, up the stairs to your left. Go up. You go to these viewings, you literally line up with all these on the right side of the room, wait till you get to the front. And then I literally go in front, you kneel at the coffin. I say a prayer, get up and give my condolences to the family. And then so I'm in line. I get closer and closer to the front, seeing any of my buddies yet. Maybe I'm one of the early ones. And I'm about to go next. And I look at the casket. And I'm like, that's not him.
Oh my God.
Not the dad. But you can't turn around and leave. So I'm like, oh man. In my head, I'm like, I'm screwed. So I literally go, I kneel, do the sign of the whole prayer in my head. Then I get up and I go through the whole family and I'm condolences. And I can tell they're looking at me thinking, who the hell is this guy, right? No one knows who I am. So I walk out, I leave, and then I go back downstairs and I go to the lady. I'm like, you sent me to the wrong place. I go, Vincenzo. She goes, oh, I thought you said Vincenza. There's 2 people with the same name, but Vincenza is Enza in Italian or in English, and Vince is Vincenzo. So to the right this time and go through the whole thing again. So I literally saw like 2 viewings, come home, tell my wife about it, and her only response
that's my
was,
response.
This was pretty much my day, one of which I knew, one I didn't. So.
Okay, well, firstly, I don't understand the whole viewing concept. Jewish people have closed caskets. I've never seen a dead person in a coffin before. So my apologies to your crappy day. And then, of course, it didn't get any better. And we want people to understand, look, I mean, we win, we lose, right? I mean, a week ago, you were on a 9-1 NHL run. So don't wear it, Mr. Bianco.
No.
What sucks, though, is that in the shootout last night, McDavid,
2 goal posts.
Was Nugent Hopkins, his first up, hits the post, and then McDavid beats the goalie like he always does, and he hits the post. So it's like at that point, it's like, okay, that one's done.
Yeah, and they were absolutely dead in the 3-on-3. I think they kept McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
I think they were pretty much out there
They
for
were.
almost the whole 5 minutes. It's
But I'll tell you, the Leafs are looking good right now. I mean, they've played 2 outstanding games back to back, and last night's game against Dallas they played really well.
They played their style. They really sped the game up, and they were able to again get to 4 goals. That's, I think, 8 straight games they've scored 4 or more goals. There's still too many neutral zone giveaways, and they had a couple last night that were painful. So they'll drive you crazy with the lead. But they did hold on and get the win last night. They get the late empty netter to make it 5-3. By the way, Calgary-Edmonton was a great game last night. The Battle of Alberta, and they go at it again. They go at it again this weekend, and man, that is a terrific.
Yeah, well, it's been that way for ages. I watched the whole game last night, and it was a perfect game, Dave. It had the old school fighting. It had hits all over the ice.
Look at the guys. I mean, and Kachuk were definitely going to fight. That was a given.
Yeah.
That wasn't much of a fight, but look at the other fight: Nugent Hopkins and Monahan. I think that's the first major Monahan's ever gotten for fighting, and that was one hell of a battle. Those guys they really went at it.
They threw some haymakers, that's for sure. So,
okay, boys, let's get to it. Let me give out the promo code for today. Dave 350. His entire NHL season and playoffs all the way to the end of June. The regular price is $695. It's yours for $350. Dave is up in the NHL. He's on a 3-0 NHL run. He's on an 8-0 all sports run. He does his best work this time of year. And he's getting a little bit excited because baseball is right around the corner. Get his entire NHL season for half price. Please use the promo code DAVE350.
And I'm going to give this out right here, and it won't be posted anyplace else. So Pirates, the best number I found is 72.5 wins on the Pirates. I played the under. It's the only play I've made so far. That team stinks. They're liable to lose 100. I think they're a very potential 100-loss team this season, and I think that's a good bet. So I would not wait around on that number because I think by the time we get into spring training, you could be looking at 69 or on the Pirates.
There you go, guys.
Can I ask Dave a question while we're at it? I don't see the total. I heard the total. Red Sox. I don't think this is going to be a very good season for the Red Sox.
I think it's, and I'm not going to take the time to look it up now. I think it's 86.5.
Okay.
Borderline of that number.
Well, Carm, you can always listen to First Pitch, the MLB season preview show. It'll be done towards the beginning of April. So stay tuned for that. It'll likely be Dave Koch and myself and Brian Leonard. And guys, don't forget, all summer long, Dave Koch and myself will be doing First Pitch. Okay, boys, I'm going to go to Dave first. Buffalo, minus 105. Hosting the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal's won 2 of their last 3, but they did lose to Washington in their last game. Buffalo lost 5-2 to Ottawa, 2-1 to Nashville. Neither of these teams are going to really make the playoffs. I look at this game, and I think there's going to be some goals scored. Dave Koch, the total is 6. I'm not going to get to the window here, but if I had to bet this game, I would likely take over the total.
I think the Sabres are going to come out strong in this game. Look, they were situation the other night. First game out of the long break, and they're big favorites at home against an Ottawa team that had played an overtime game the prior night. And I think Buffalo took the game for granted, and they got stung by the Senators. I don't think that'll be the situation tonight. Canadiens, they're the better team. Montreal is better than Buffalo. But I think you can make a case Buffalo might play a good first period here. And if I don't think I'm going to get involved in this game, but my lean would be early game Sabres. So maybe Buffalo first period for a small wager. But full game, Montreal probably gets them. And that price does offer a bit of value on the Canadiens based on the overall form and ability.
Guys, before we get Carmine's thoughts on this game, I just want to make a quick reference to our new setup. As you can see, we have a new setup graphic-wise. We also have the ability to sort of zoom in and out of the guys speaking, and I'm trying very hard to get that working correctly. I've already made 2 mistakes this show. When Dave was speaking, I zoomed into Carm, and when that happens, you don't hear Dave, so it was only for a split second. My apologies. Bear with me as I get the new setup right. Dave, before we go to Carm, one thing you say there that I really wanted to touch on was Montreal is a better team than Buffalo. I don't agree with you there at all.
Yeah. With their players healthy again?
Sure, they don't even have players. Who are their players?
Yeah, the Sabres are. They're. All I can tell you is that, in my opinion, the Canadiens are the better hockey team. I think Buffalo's got one line and that's it. The Canadiens have a little balance. They've gotten some injured players back on the ice, and they certainly have a good goaltender. Carey Price. I'll grant you that we spoke of peaks and valleys as handicappers. Price is going through more peaks and valleys now than he used to when he was as good as anybody in the league. But he's been in good form recently, and when Price is on one of his good rolls, the Canadiens are still a representative hockey team. If you've got a good goaltender, you're going to win games. Ullmark has had an okay season for Buffalo, but I don't put him in the upper echelon class. Right. They have no backup. Carter Hutton's lost 11 straight starts, so it's a tough spot for the Sabres. I'm not saying it's a runaway, but I do think.
Well, we'll agree to disagree there, my friend. Carmine, if you want to wade into that, go ahead. Otherwise, what do you like in this hockey game?
I agree with Dave in the sense of I expect the Sabres to sort of push back in this first period and play much better than they did last game. I talked about the fact it looked like a schedule over the next 10 days or so, the next 10 games or so, where they could probably win about 6 of them. That now takes sort of a back seat to the injury to Ullmark, and Carter Hutton's in net tonight.
Oh boy!
And if you look at it, Hutton's been terrible since October. He hasn't won since October, and 6 of his last 7 games he's allowed, I think, 5 or 5s on there. The only game where he didn't allow that many goals was a 2-1 loss to the Leafs. Does he come back? He came in relief after Ullmark got injured in that third period. He stopped the 4. That game was over by then. It worries me because his splits aren't that great, and Dave knows he hasn't won in 11 starts or so. But I expect the Sabres to come. Game does have some goals. I don't have a card up tonight, but I'm going to have a couple client plays in the first half. The first over 1.5 goals minus 135 will be one of the plays I give out to clients tonight, and I'll talk about one of the other ones when we get to that game. It's one of those things where now for this Sabres team, I have to give the advantage now to Montreal overall in this game because of the fact that Hutton's in net, and until I see something. It's a couple of good performances, concrete performances from him. You just can't back a guy who's struggled as much as he has. So it's first period over for me, and then I'll look to probably put a couple plays in, but that they won't go up to clients.
Guys, as you can hear, Carmine is using dial-up today again. A little bit jerky. It happens. I do have a play tonight. I'm on a 12-2 NHL run, and I have a NHL bet tonight. So head over to WagerTalk.com, check it out. Dave Koken, are you in action tonight?
I don't know yet. I have 4 basketball games, one of which I will play right after this broadcast. is done taping. So you'll have a free college basketball play. I'm going to put up a trifecta tonight with the other. So those will be available at one low price. In fact, I think I'll make them $29 for all three plays in college basketball. The NHL, I've got to go back to work after we're done. Possible I'll have a game up, but I don't think I'll sell it individually. It'll probably be for all access players only, which is why you need to get the package.
$350 for the rest of Dave's season and playoffs. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the promo code DAVE350. Okay, boys, let's talk about the New Jersey Devils. Plus 120, playing Nashville, an over and under of 6 here. And, Nashville, they got it done last night. Outstanding performance, 5-4 win against Washington. Always tough to beat Washington, especially on the road. They've won 2 of their last 3. And New Jersey, they've lost 3 of their last 4. I mean, they beat Ottawa 4-3. And Carmine, I'll go to you first on this game. Nashville, just like San Jose, who didn't do it last night. I mean, both these teams, they are in must-win mode from here on out. Nashville cannot afford to lose a game against the New Jersey Devils if they have any hopes of getting back into the race.
Sorry to the guy, but next week the studio will be finally up and working, so this shouldn't be up. But I talked about the Nashville goaltending, and Saros in net last night, likely Rene in net tonight, and neither one has been spectacular or anywhere close to it this season. So I thought we'd see some goals last night, and I thought the first period over would be good, and they did score. That was a great thing for that one. I still see some goals tonight. Nashville, both this year and last year, they haven't had many back-to-backs this year. But between this year and last year, I think their record is like 3-9 or somewhere around there on the second half of back-to-backs. And there's some goals scored in those games. So I'm not going to take a side here, although I lean to Nashville. I'm good.
Dave Koken, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is the moment because you've got John Hines, who started the year as the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and he is now the head coach of the Nashville Predators. So, I would think the Devils players are going to be excited to face and the Predators players are going to be excited to try and get a win for their new coach against this. The Nashville win over Washington sounds maybe not that much of a shock. For whatever reason, the Capitals can't beat the Predators. That's 8 straight wins for Nashville when they play Washington. But the difficulty is that's a big game, and they had to come back in that game because after they had the early lead, the Capitals put 3 straight up and took the lead. So Nashville had to scratch and claw back. Carmine already mentioned they have not been a good team in the second of back-to-backs, which I think might have something to do with the fact they're not the youngest team in the league. I think it's a tricky spot for Nashville. They've owned the Devils. They're not interested in laying a price with them in this situation. And the Devils, look, I mean, they're not a good hockey team, but they are, I think, with some enthusiasm lately. They had a nice comeback win against Ottawa the other night. They get the tying goal fairly late in that game and then win it in the overtime. So they've got a little positive momentum. Mac Blackwood's been pretty good in goal. I don't know. I can't make a case either way. Right, but it should be fun to watch.
You're watching Puck Time, everybody, Monday to Friday on WagerTalk TV. So much content up there. Tons of Super Bowl stuff. Ralph Michaels and myself did the NFL presidential address where we just look at about 15 different proposition bets and how to attack. As well, Teddy and Marco, Gianni, Kelly, Tony, everybody else, our studio videos done up at WagerTalk TV. Really just tons of stuff on the Super Bowl, so make sure to check that out. Joe Ranieri's NBA show, we do it live now. Check that out. That's one of the best shows we have on a daily basis. And Drew Martin, he does a daily show as well. Check that out over at WagerTalk TV. Like I said to you all, I'm on a 12-2 NHL run. I'm also on a 9-3 all sports run. $40 off of a week of all of my plays. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the promo code Prez79. Okay, Dave, we're going to go to you first on this game. LA in Arizona. And, I can sit here and say, okay, LA, they've lost 5 in a row. They've lost, 8 of 9. But ultimately, that's expected. They stink. They had no playoff aspirations to begin with. But here you have an Arizona team that has been playing outstanding all year long, and especially on the road. Yet they've lost 3 in a row now. 3 of those on the road, and they've lost 6 of their last 7. They are falling at a rapid pace and need to turn it around. Minus 183 against the Kings. You gotta like Arizona in regulation here. I think this team is gritty.
Maybe you do.
What?
I said maybe you do. I don't.
Well, regale us, Sir Legend.
Well, I mentioned this. I know I mentioned this a few times, and it's happening. Is that the Darcy Kemper injury has had a big impact on this hockey team. Antti Ranta is just not a reliable everyday goaltender. He's a number 2, and Aiden Hill is, he's a quad A guy, if you want to use the baseball term, somewhere between AAA and when you have goaltending that's shaky, it impacts the entire team. I also, as a great hockey player, what an MVP. But the quality of the team changed, and I'm not sure it changed for the better. The Coyotes had been a team that was stressed defense and positioning, and that's how they win games. Grind it out and just outwork the other team. Since he arrived, their whole identity has changed. They've turned into this up and down the ice, high-scoring team. They're now frequently out of position defensively, and they can't afford that with their goaltending. I don't trust the team at all right now. This game, it's like, oh yeah, obviously this is a game the Coyotes should win. They really need the game because they're getting themselves concerned in that division with everybody congested, and the Kings are no good. But look at Arizona; they're 2-7 on the season with no rest. Not that the Kings are that much better; they're 3-5. But you want to lay this much of a price with a team that has not played well in the second of back-to-backs, has not gotten any goaltending recently. I can't do it. I don't want LA, but this is one of those games where I look at the price and go, that's enough to get me out of the game. And when it looks easy, it usually isn't in the NHL. Well
said. Although I still like Arizona in regulation. Carmine, Bianco, where are you at?
Yeah, no, I get it. And to sort of go on Dave's point of the goaltending in Arizona, yeah, we expect to come, and he was taken off the IR, but I'm not sure if he's still sore, if he's or what it is. But they brought Aiden Hill back up from Tucson on Monday, recalled him, and probably with today in place because they don't want to go Ranta 2 nights in a row. It's likely Hill in net tonight, and I'm looking at the under here only because in his few starts, Hill hasn't been bad. You know what I mean? He's had to come in into relief mode a couple of times where I think Ranta was blown out when when they lost 6-2 to Philadelphia, and another one. But he's been pretty good, allowing 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals. So his numbers aren't bad. Campbell, who's going to be in net tonight for the Kings, and his aren't great. He's allowing pretty much 4 goals a start. His last 5 starts, he's only won 1, and he stood on his head against in Vegas against the Golden Knights, where he stopped 44 or 46 shots on goal. But before that, he's got a lot of 4-goal games where 8-4-6 across the for over 3 or 4 games. That's not that great. If you're allowing 4 goals, but they're getting 40 to 45 shots on, again, about 25, 26 shots on goal, and you're allowing 4 in, that's not that great. But that goes to, to how this Kings team has been. They're not a very good road team. And I hate to say it, and this is why one of the reasons why I want to stay off this picking a side here is I can't lay that number with Arizona for how bad they've been when you look at their splits at home and away. They're the second best Western team on the road points-wise, picking up 31 points. At home, they're near the bottom. And I think Dave has talked about this before. At home, they're basically a road team in the sense of they don't get games. They're not getting a lot of home support. So do I want to lay a $1.92 with this team? No, I definitely don't want to lay a $1.92 with this team. I'll look at the 5.5 just because of the fact that it's Aiden in net and he's kept the games sort of lower scoring. And you look at some of the numbers in his games and they're lower scoring games. So for me, it's really wish there was a 6, but you're never going to find a 6.
That's the show, boys. Carmine Bianco, Dave Koken, thank you both for joining. You can find both of these guys at WagerTalk.com. You can get Dave's NHL season from now until the Stanley Cup is handed to the Toronto Maple Leafs in June. Dave 350. Head over to WagerTalk and check that out. Real pleasure doing the show tomorrow. Andrew McGinnis and Carmine Bianco. Every day this week has been Carmine. Real pleasure. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to continue to comment. Sorry about the sound issues today. They weren't bad, but they weren't perfect, and we strive for perfection on a regular basis. We will speak to you all tomorrow.